Volodya, I'm trying to do that the last maybe 1.5 years with that guy.
Euroamidan provided enabling environment across Ukrainian cities, across Ukraine for civil society to flourish and to teach governments that they should be accountable to public, to people.
I understood that our war is much bigger than I thought before.
And this is what people don't understand about Ukraine and about.
Okay, welcome to what do we call this? Speak Freely, our near daily war journal. You have Volodymyr Kebalo talking from the Carpathian Mountains, Zakhar Pikh talking from Lviv, Ukraine, two Ukrainians, my friends, and Joe Lindsley, Zach, as you say, crazy American, thank you, talking also in the Carpathian Mountains. And that music we just heard is from our friends in the Ukrainian punk band Dite Engineering, Children of Engineers. Thanks for the T-shirt. And I got to know that band when they last year in 2021 they made a song protesting the Chinese government's treatment of people in Hong Kong and the Uyghur people, because back then Ukraine was a totally free country, and people in Hong Kong were looking to Ukraine, and so Ukrainian artists were working to collaborate with oppressed people around the world. So we are having these conversations, almost daily, to help the three of us figure out what the hell is going on, how to make sense of this, how we can be more effective. And as Zach,
yes, we are talking like 3 days about that.
Yeah.
What has happened, how to be stronger and do something like in a smart way, but we still didn't get that point to talk about that.
Yeah, so let's do that. Like, what is the, and as when you dropped off last night, Volodymyr and I kept talking, we said we wanted to define, like, what is the question that we, in the next days and weeks, that we want to answer, the three of us together, and anyone who joins us, and anyone who listens or might join the conversation, like, what is the question we really want to figure out? And
I think we have to know the questions, because if we're doing that for the world, we not do this for Ukrainians. Ukrainians don't need that, our speaking. We are doing that for the world, for the Europe, for the Great Britain, for the all like civilized world, and we have to know their questions to give them answers.
Actually, I think our question was, or idea was, why should Ukraine matter to other countries, to West, to Western countries? This was the question. It goes without saying that we know the answer why Ukraine matters. For example, we Ukrainians, we don't need to answer to that question, but at the same time, we need to explain in clear words, clear stories, targeted messages to other countries, to other people about Ukraine, about its importance, about the important war that we are fighting for, about important values that we are fighting for, because people don't understand. They are living in a different world. We have our own, let's say, information bubble. We think that everybody should understand or perceive the situation, information as we understand this and want to think about it. But in the real world, it doesn't matter, and we need to let's say answer to this question effectively to the world. Why should Ukraine matter? And we need to find a way how to, let's say, to make people understand.
Maybe a one way to start, because and so Zach, earlier today here in the mountains, Volodya and I were talking about we've all, the three of us have all been to Dnipro at different times. And you, Volodya, you were talking about how you'd been in Donetsk all day. It's very hot, dry summer day in the steppes, and when you came back to Dnipro, all you wanted was a cold beer, and then what you went through that night.
I think this is the experience that every Ukrainian should have, like a humanitarian trip to the front line, to see what's really going on, to shake hands and to hug our defenders, and to feel this positivity, this shining out from them, and to understand, just say a few words. Thank you very much. Thank you for fighting for Ukraine, and to feel this, spirit of free people, of our heroes that are fighting for us, and just to understand what is this war about, what is the situation over there, and so on and so forth. Speak with these people and understand how volunteer even work. For example, what is their work, what is behind their work. And
yeah, you're right. When I was there in Donetsk, I saw the soldiers, and they repaired. It was not repairing. They serviced the Gaubitsa, and I was speaking with them, and yeah, they just need to talk. They like to talk. They want to talk with someone, not with the soldiers around. Yeah, and it's brilliant. It's very expensive. Yeah, I think.
Well, in talking with both of you separately about this, Volodya, today when you described meeting the soldiers and looking into their eyes, it was almost the same exact description that Zach said to me a few weeks ago. He said, Zach, your quote, you said, "I saw something brilliant in their eyes." And Volodya, you saw the same fierceness. And you both said the same thing independently. And today, like
before we were speaking with each other before.
Yeah, before you exactly. Before you met each other. You what? Oh, you coordinated.
No.
I see.
Yeah.
There was because today I had a strange visitor that came here and they gave me a very negative picture of Ukrainian soldiers, but it's not what I've seen, and it's not what you've seen, either of you or anyone we know. And we see this defiance and business-like devotion to getting the job done. I think we've all seen that in Donetsk. And
maybe, yeah,
you met the guy. I'm sorry, you met the guy from where? From abroad, yeah. And he told you like something bad about our country, about our soldiers, about what is going on here now. And maybe he was like in only one like place when it was the soldiers who, for example, not fighting and just sit in the base and trainings and do nothing, because like they cannot like trainings for like a few months and nothing more, and they can do nothing. For example, in Kiev, I saw soldiers, not Ukrainian soldiers, it was abroad soldiers, and I saw them drunk as fucking pigs, pissing in their fucking jeans, and it was not a people, it was not a fucking human beings at all. I cannot tell that the soldiers of that country I saw, they are bad. I just saw the soldiers in the bar, and I cannot like make that decision about them. But maybe that guy you met today, he's so fucking stupid, I don't know, and he made his shit decision, and he thought that he can like throw his fucking decision to everyone around and to shout about that in the world. That's not correct, I think.
I just want to add a few share some data. The results of the recent public opinion poll, and there was a question regarding support of our army, armed forces of Ukraine, and 98% of Ukrainians, or those who answered the questions, believe in Ukraine's victory, 98%. And 88% of respondents, they fully support the armed forces of Ukraine in their actions, 88%. I think this is significant public support in the armed forces of Ukraine after what? After half a year.
I don't know. I think that 88% it's more than enough. For example, if something like that will happen in the United States, they will not get 88%. Also, if we'll remind the war in Vietnam and what happened with the soldiers who came home from not their war, and they just like they even they didn't know what they did there, yeah, and why they did there. They came home, and the American citizens met them not very nice. So I think 88% is very good.
Nobody knows how long does it take, let's say, but still, let's believe that Ukraine will win soon, and this support will be retained, and will be even higher, I think. But what I want to say that this level of support demonstrate that things in Ukraine, things in the armed forces, in the leaderships are on track. And I think that the armed forces of Ukraine are doing a great job. And people, the commanders, soldiers, mid-level officers, and so on.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people forget. Like, and I remember when I was on American television the week before the war, everyone was saying, "Oh, you know, if Ukraine is attacked, it's going to lose in like 2 minutes or 2 days," and they kicked me off because I said, "No, Ukraine is strong. It's like, people will resist." In 2014, with no army, no really functioning strong army, because you had just had the revolution, so the people had taken over the government.
Yeah, and we had the president who destroyed our army for 4 years before.
The Putin guy, yeah, and so you had nothing, and it was citizens with some military and also some football hooligans that defended cities like Kharkiv and Odessa from falling into Russian hands. And so, and I spent time in those cities before the war, and I realized 8 years later, after being prepared and developing, there was no way that Ukraine was going to fall easily. But people forget that, you know, like, because of Ukraine's strengths and successes, you know, people put it at a parity now with Russia, and they don't realize Ukraine was the enormous underdog in this. And it's so easy to forget that.
Yeah, you know what, like people from this, let's say, these skeptical people, and from Western countries, from Northern America and from Europe, they underestimate the role of Euromaidan and its fruits, actually. And the fruits of Euromaidan is about development, democratic development. It's about freedom. It's about democratic values, and it's about civil society as well. And we have also freedom of speech, free elections, and so on and so forth. We have democratic institutions, and we have this cement. We have civil society that binds everything together, patches those holes that can be in our not perfect house, let's say. And this is why we stand, because of our strong civil society. It also provides a foundation for our house. So that's why Euromaidan provided enabling environment across Ukrainian cities, across Ukraine, for civil society to flourish, to prosper, to develop, to become experienced, to become strong advocates for local, regional, and national reforms, and to teach governments that they should be accountable to public, to people. And this is what people don't understand about Ukraine and about our, let's say, ability, which is also in DNA, and Euromaidan also strengthened this ability and woken up ability to self-organize as a society and have as this kind of self-governance in crisis at the time of Euromaidan, at the time of war. And we can work like together like bees. Everybody has his or her own role in this chain of action, of support, and so on and so forth. We had it during Euromaidan, we had at the beginning of the war in 2014, and now the full-scale invasion. And that's why we stand.
But if we're talking about the world, and if we're talking about working together with the world, I'm not sure the world need strong and independent Ukraine, because they worked with Russia a lot of years, and they thought like everything is okay. So, and why they have to change something? Because we still can see the people in Europe and in United States, the people who are sitting in that chairs a lot of years, and it's the same people who worked with the Soviet Union and after with the Russian Federation, and I think they are so old to change themselves and to change the view on the world at all.
Good argument, and we discussed with Joe when you disconnected, after you disconnected from the call, that perhaps, and it's most likely that we are now witnessing a global shift, global development, that the world becomes Ukraine-centric, Ukraine-dependent. And you can see the United States, where you had the president of the United States got impeached, yes, or almost impeached. The other one also got some troubles and issues because of Ukraine. Ukraine is in issues in Russia, also in Asia, I think, now more and more, because I think Ukraine triggers and inspires other countries, especially, for example, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and other countries, to stand for their countries, to stand for their democracies. So I think that this is a trend, this is a new development, and these countries should, and they will accept this fact, that they should respect Ukraine, and they should, let's say, understand Ukraine's role and support this role in the world.
But it's in the world now, it's a new deal, it's a dealing of the power in the world. Like the biggest countries, the most powerful countries now, they are dealing their power in the world.
Dealing, so
and
let's hope
for most of them, it's a big problem.
Yeah, of course. Let's hope that Ukraine will become a prime actor in the world, in the globe, after.
This is why, Volodymyr, I like how you put it, where you said that, especially from 2014, the Maidan Revolution, but I still see that continuing in Ukraine. Ukrainians teach the government what the limits are. They teach the government what we will accept as human beings, as free people.
Exactly.
They teach the government. The government doesn't teach them. It's like we talked a little bit about, it's like the rest of the world during the pandemic was taught by the government what to do. Here, the government learned from the people. Here's what you will accept. And we even see this in the war when when Zelensky said, okay, victory is February 24th borders. And the people said, nah, sorry, it's got to be Crimea. We need Crimea back. The people taught the government. That's democracy, but orderly, like not chaotic.
Exactly.
And as we talk about this, I think maybe from my perspective, maybe I hope that our main audience, and this is my narrow-minded American view, would be the American skeptics of Ukraine, people that say they love freedom, but they actually don't understand it, and they don't understand Ukraine. And they praise all these other freedom movements around the world, but they ignore the actual most successful, most genuine freedom movement in the world, which is here. Because we live in such an age of bullshit. And so maybe in my mind, that's who I want to reach. Maybe you guys have different ideas of who you want to reach, but I think the more we can tell the story of, Ukrainians teach the government, hey, because you have your experience of 70 years under Soviet rule, you have your ancient history as Cossacks, always being free and wild and independent from Ukraine, and even on the small, like Zach, the way you give me shit for censoring my own speech, it's like just talk. That's what we call this speak freely. That's a very Ukrainian idea.
Now I understood that our war is much bigger than I thought before. We thought that we have a war with the Russian Federation, but now I can understand that no. Also, we have the West Front, and for example, you, me, and now Volodya, and a lot of people like us, we are fighting on the West Front. If we have soldiers who are killing Russians, so we fighting in the information war with the people who cannot understand what is going on, and it's very hard.
Yeah, nowadays, information is very powerful warfare, yes. And you have so many channels of information, and you receive so much information, from different channels every day. So you should, let's say, be able to filter this information and absorb this, let's say, filtered information, and that you can make really your own conclusions out of the information. But most of the people, they only take what is on the surface, what actually those who are giving this information are trying to convince.
The cream.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the very, let's say, well, we need to work. We need to work on the information hygiene. It's number one. Also, we need to work on the awareness of different kind of information threats, and also how to recognize whether to trust this information, this media outlet or social network group or not, or verify information. It's very easy. It's very easy. And I think Ukraine, after Euroamidan, and when the war in 2014 started, launched very successful initiatives in this regard. And this was the civil society who started this. And I think, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but this kind of information operation or played a very key and crucial role during presidential elections in the United States, when public opinion was a little bit influenced by externally and internally.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a skeptic of how powerful Russia was in 2016 because I think the argument was that Russia put stuff on Facebook that like I would like to hope, and I have greater hope for this in Ukraine than I do in America at the moment, but that people, and I believe in freedom, free speech, totally not limited by borders. So no matter what information comes in front of you, people should be smart enough to figure things out. But I think you can only do that through conversation. I think democracy doesn't work without conversation because I could sit and receive information, but like if I don't talk to people about it, then I can have crazy ideas, which I do sometimes. So
and also about the elections in the United States and the Russian pushing on that. I'm not sure about that because it's looked like American government made it. For example, yeah, they made something and after said, oh, it was bad Russians.
Yeah, I mean, some of that evidence has come to light, but even if a foreign government is pushing propaganda, which by the way America has done with Radio Free Europe, positive or negative, you could say, but we've done that, we unashamedly done that for decades. Even if a foreign government is pushing propaganda, which they always are, and so are corporations and so, all kinds of people, citizens, if the democracy is healthy, should be able to listen to all information. Like Americans don't need to be coddled, and pretend, oh, you can't hear this information because it's bad for you. That's not free speech. That's not a healthy democracy. There's a deep embedded problem if you're susceptible to such propaganda. So
it's power of American censor, and you, as an American journalist, have to know that perfectly.
Yeah, that's why I quit. That's why I
or
quit Fox
do you
News.
want me to, or do you want me to say that word?
Don't please. It's why I quit. It's why I quit Fox News because I saw how they manipulated. Because it is possible for media to manipulate people, especially in a democracy that's sick. It's harder for media to manipulate Ukrainians because you speak freely when you gather, you talk with each other, you have occasions to speak with each other. And
yeah, most of smart Ukrainians, they're not watching TV at all, and they're not living with the news. For example, like Russians, they don't have brains. They have only fucking, I don't know, the first Russian channel.
Yeah,
maybe that's why.
I agree that Ukrainians they like to discuss things and to discuss different things, news, politics, history, and so on. And this often happens when people come together for some occasion, for example, a birthday dinner, birthday party, or some celebration, holiday, whatever. You sit at the big table with a lot of food.
Yeah, when they are enough drunk.
Yes, you drink.
They started to talk about politics.
A great discussion starts. When I was in the United States, it was not the case for the Americans to touch very sensitive topics, let's say.
Yeah, because they're scary.
Everything.
Scary to hurt your fucking feelings.
But because people get so angry, like how and I have different theories about it, but how do, like I've seen this, I've witnessed this at Ukrainian holidays. Like you gather on the table, you can still have arguments, but it's no one like shoots each other. No one walks out of the house or says I won't speak to you again.
Exactly,
for a year.
because we have arguments.
We have arguments. We discuss. We just let the steam off, and the next day like no nothing, just like
And you take another shot of
another day.
Semahanka and eat some more food. And like all the American officials who love Ukraine, who were here before the war, they spoke so highly of Ukrainian civil society. But they say those words. I don't know if they always understand what it means.
Civil society is, I think, a feature, a very important feature, an element of any healthy, let's say, democracy, and it's binds everything together and helps democracy develop, helps defend your rights, advocate your ideas, and bring governments accountable. I think this is it. And you can be a part of civil society, and you are part of civil society. Everyone is civil society. But you just need to know how to be effectively involved in the civil society life and how you can contribute. Because being passive, it's not about civil society. You're just a passive citizen. You should be an active citizen. Either act individually or join efforts with other people and establish NGOs and organization, non-profit organization with more power, more resources, advocate your interests. So it's about being active, how society, how individuals, how group of people, apart from political parties, can influence life, public life, decision-making, different levels, and push for decisions, for reforms, and for the development.
Perfect. You're amazing.
I'm not sure this is an academic definition of civil society, but for me personally, it's about being active. It's about being, let's say, in terms of, like, it's not the word, but being professional, because you can be active, you can shout loud about everything is lost, everything is corrupt, and so on, government is bad. It's not how civil society works. Civil society works constructively.
Exactly.
It provides analysis, arguments, and solution, and advocacy.
Exactly, and about the solutions. And you have, first of all, you have to care. You have to care about everything, and first of all, about your country, about your city, about your garden, about everything. You cannot just live in your apartment and shout from the window that someone on the bench is very loud. That's all. And it's like my Belgian food manager in Dubai, he always said me, "Hey Zach, you cannot just come to me with the complaints. No, it's not about us. It's not about our company. If you have a complaint, come to me with a solution. That's all." And that's how we have to work. That's how every citizen of this country have to be, I think.
Yeah, you're right, Zach. And this is idea behind modern civil society in Ukraine when it comes to the government, either local, regional, or central, and it provides its solution, it provides its support. And for example, a government can necessarily have resources, expertise, and also staff to do some work, to do some reform, to do some action. And here comes civil society.
Exactly, but the government cannot have, for example, the government also cannot have enough power to be everywhere and to see everything around,
Exactly.
to know about all problems of the people around.
And here
So
comes civil society.
they need the people who have problems came with a solution. Hey, I have like, I don't know, the water in my garden.
And
I think.
And here comes civil society, which channels the views and interests of particular social groups, particular citizens, and bring this to the government, and at the same time brings their hand of partnership and cooperation, and they put their solutions and suggestions on the table and say, hey, let's do it together. This is what about civil society, you know.
Yeah, and Volodymyr, that's like the volleyball court that is built on the riverbank here in the beautiful mountain village of Skola. Like in America, that it would not be built yet because you have to go to meetings and get permissions from different government agencies, and then you have some developer would come in and you have their high-powered attorneys, and it wouldn't be ready, especially in a wartime. In wartime, it was citizens banding together, led by you, and you gave the kids that played there a voice, and gave them responsibility, and they maintain it themselves. You don't need to have the like Karen park ranger keeping, like, everything is self-governed. It's called self-governance. It's democracy. I see it here, and it's wonderful. So yeah, that's you both explained it very well, and I think that's what I hope more Americans can realize about Ukraine. But I guess yeah. All right. Well, with that, this has been Joe Lindsley, talking American in Ukraine, and
Yeah, and it was also Zakhar Pikh speaking from Lviv, Ukraine, and Volodymyr Kebalo speaks from Skola, Ukraine. It was Speak Shitty for You, our journal. Yeah, man, UkrainianFreedomNews.com. Help us to make you free. Have a good night. It will be enough because we can talk till the morning.
yeah, of course, yeah. I think
let's try to stick to focus on some key issues or key questions. For example, let's pay several minutes per question.
Volodya, I'm trying to do that the last maybe 1.5 years with that guy.
Fuck.
It's
This
fucking
bullshit.
impossible, it's impossible. Because as he said, oh, it's not natural, it's not free.
This is bullshit. Anyway, you probably have some infection from your tattoo.